Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background?
Hi, I'm Rita Albright. I am running for Senate District 5. I live here in Bemidji. I'm in my backyard here where my husband Mike and I have lived since we got married. And if you look way back there, you might see the shop where he likes to do woodworking and build little free libraries. But I grew up in northern Minnesota in Big Falls, and my dad was the elementary principal at Little Fork and Big Falls, and my mom was the administrative assistant at Boise Cascade. I moved to Bemidji to go to Bemidji State University, like lots of people do. I never left. And Mike and I got married. We raised our family here, and we owned the A&W restaurant here for many years. And when we sold that business, I went back and finished 2 degrees at Bemidji State in geography and education. And so since I graduated, I have had a career in planning, including working for the city, the Regional Development Commission, and tribal planning at Leech Lake Band of Ojibwe. And I just retired last year as the Northwest Region Director at the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources.
When were you first elected to local office?
I was elected in 2010 to the City Council and elected mayor in 2012. I'm just finishing my 8th year or 4th term as mayor of Bemidji. Been a very rewarding experience for me, and I feel like Bemidji's a great community, and we've done a lot of good things with our partners and my council to move our community forward. We've had great population growth of about 12% since the last census, and that has translated into lots of new jobs, new businesses, expansion at our industrial park, and also park development, of course. So those accomplishments are something that I'm really proud of, and I'm happy to say that we've been able to keep our tax rate flat here since 2015 because we've had such good tax base expansion.
Why did you decide to run for state senate?
As the mayor and somebody who's worked in this region for a long time, I have found that what happens at the Capitol makes a big difference to local communities and local workers and businesses. And recently, we haven't seen a lot of action out of the Capitol. In particular, this last session, the lack of a bonding bill has been a concern, and especially because across northern Minnesota and across the state, actually, there are dozens of communities that have projects that they need. And so I have seen that the leadership experience that I have at the city council, and one thing you can say about council is that you have to actually deliver. And so every Monday night we show up and we pass our agenda, we find consensus, and we move our community forward. It's not like we can put it off till next year or next session. And that kind of leadership experience of listening to people and trying to find common ground and find solutions has been really rewarding for me, and I think that's the kind of experience that will be helpful down at the Capitol.
What does campaigning look like during a pandemic?
Well, we're not door knocking. We've had some outside events where we've met with voters across the district, and that's been really fun to talk with them, but mostly we're on the phones talking with folks on the phone.
What are you hearing from people?
You know, some of the things that you're hearing are about issues, but also right now people are they're disappointed with the tenor of the campaign and some of the negative that's out there. But in particular, the idea that individuals or politicians are fueling division, and that, you know, trying to polarize us and divide us. And what people would rather see is a voice that would help bring folks together and find solutions and common ground.
Are there specific issues that voters want to talk about?
I think that with the pandemic, jobs are always an important issue that folks want to talk about, whether that's making sure our businesses are continue to thrive, or people that have been laid off are able to get back to work. So that's important, and I know that families in particular are concerned about having a job that pays enough for them to take care of their families, and you know, childcare and housing are always issues that come up when I'm talking with families. The other thing that families like to talk about is the access to healthcare. Businesses and families actually both talk about that. I know that individuals that don't have access to healthcare. It can be scary. Everybody has a healthcare story. We have one too in our family where we have a granddaughter who had a health issue, and nobody wants to be without healthcare in an emergency. And I have friends who have small businesses, and their premiums are high, and it's hard for them to offer healthcare to their employees. So expanding Minnesota Care is one way that we could really help get folks back on their feet with healthcare.
The start of school looks different this year. What have you been hearing from parents?
Well, rightly so. Parents are concerned about their children's safety, and educators are concerned about the educators' safety, whether that's the bus drivers, the school lunch ladies, or the pairs in the classroom. So there's a lot of angst, I guess you could say, and worry about how school's going to go this year. But what really I think we can show is that this pandemic has revealed a lot of disparities among our schools. We in northern Minnesota often don't feel as though we have the resources we need to make sure every child has a great education, and I think that's because the state hasn't really kept up their end of the bargain to help fund our schools, and unfortunately it's fallen to our local property taxpayers. And so I think that we need to take a look at how our schools are funded and if they're going to be funded equitably. I know that as a daughter of a school principal, and my kids went to K-12 school, and I did too at Little Fork. We support our public schools, and I want to make sure that every child has a great education, because they're our next generation of workforce, and it's important.
What is your approach to using our natural resources?
Minnesota's outdoor heritage is something we all want to protect. It's important to us, and I want to protect it too. I'm a yes and person who thinks we can protect our outdoors as well as use our natural resources responsibly, and that includes timber production, which is important across the district, and also mining. And all of those activities add a lot of value to our district, and jobs, and economic impact. So we want to make sure that we can continue them into the future. A lot of people on the phones are asking me about the pipeline, and if we're going to have to move oil, which I think we continue to use oil for road building and transportation, national defense, I want to make sure that we are transporting it in the safest way possible. And I think that the safest way to transport oil is through a pipeline. We also depend on our great model environmental laws here in Minnesota. So those environmental laws, I think, are what are going to help us take care of that great outdoor heritage and make sure that we can both use our natural resources and protect our environment. I think living through this pandemic and this crisis has taught us a lot about taking care of one another, that if we take care of one another, we can persevere through almost anything. It's also taught us that we want leaders who will listen to us, and that's the kind of leader I want to be, someone who shows up and listens and finds solutions for the people in northern Minnesota. I hope that you'll take this election seriously, that you'll mail in your ballot, you'll go to the polls. I want your vote, and I'm asking for your vote today, Rita Albright, for Senate District 5. If you want to know more information about me, you can always go to our website, ritaforsenate.com. I hope to see you in the district very soon.
My name is Dennis Barsness, and I'm a candidate for Senate District 5 of Minnesota. And I'm born and raised right here in the local Grand Rapids area. Born again Christian, a pastor at our local fellowship, and I'm a PCA. I work with a variety of people. I've done a lot of things in the community for the community, and currently I'm on the Soil and Water Board, which does a lot of environmental issues. I'm running as a grassroots legalized cannabis party candidate. Although I'm not currently an active party member, I am a legally, legitimately endorsed candidate by the party. I'm running as a candidate because I believe the people need a broader choice of candidates, something outside of the typical two-party system that just gives us the same old options that we've always had. One thing I can do different, once I am elected, should you elect me, one thing I can do different is I can be a candidate, I can be an elected official that actually gives the people a voice. In the system as it's set up today, the traditional candidates have to be pretty mainstream with the party beliefs. And I can be a non-traditional type of elected official that actually goes to the people and allows them their voice and their inputs before any decisions would be made on my part. A lot of votes get made, and it's just that votes are made because somebody else is saying they know what's good for the people, and then I say give the people the option of having that say so what they want rather than just what corporate says. Well, in the whole environmental issues with the mining, and in this region specifically, I mean, it's something that is close to my heart. Grew up in a mining family, and I know the aspects of how it works with the mining industries. I believe mining can be an essential part of what we have going on, and it can add beneficially to the economic status. When we put mining as a savior and it's the only way to get somewhere, and we do it all at the expense of the taxpayers to push an agenda where it's a short-term. Mining is always boom and bust, and I know that because I grew up in it, I've lived in it. A close dear friend of mine right at the moment is unemployed who works as a miner, and he doesn't know when he'll go back to work. He has 3 children, a wife, 3 kids, and his future is up in the air because he's a miner. And I believe that with proper environmental issues looked at with it, we can have sustainable mining that we can count on being there for year after year after year without destroying the environment completely. Right now I am concerned, for the small farmers. I'm sure the bigger farmers, they'll be getting their subsidies and their help, at some point from the federal government. But it's the small farmers that are running, maybe a couple hundred head of cattle or less. They're farming or putting up smaller acreages of crops and selling more locally. And I don't think there's going to be a big avenue for them to bounce back easy. The grain prices will keep rising, and currently I believe with the market as it is, the cattle prices, the hog prices, come sales time for these small people are going to be down, and they're going to be taking losses. They don't make much money anyhow. They're doing it more because of the enjoyment of farming, and they want to pass on the traditions for future generations. So they spend money a lot of the times, and they're probably going to be getting hit this year harder than they have been. And we might be losing a bunch of these smaller farmers if we don't do something. And that's where we need our legislators to look at the smaller farmers, the smaller businesses. There's resort owners that got hit hard, and I don't think any of their stimulus packages are really going to be doing anybody much justice. But that's just going to be a time will tell topic too as well. Well, personally, I feel with the whole pandemic issue, our leaders sold us out right out of the gate, and the governor is actually on somewhat of a power trip with his executive orders. I believe that in one aspect things need to be reined in. The governor needs to take a little step back. He wants to make a deal at this moment with the Republican side of the party that he will release some of his executive orders should they side with him on a mask mandate. And to me, now you're just playing dirty politics, and it's obviously this isn't truly about people's health as much as it is about these two-sided arguments getting their ways. And I'm not not saying there isn't something to be concerned with the pandemic, and I believe mask wearing ought to be just that's an issue, or it's a decision that individually should be made. If people want to wear masks, they can wear masks. If they don't want a mask, they shouldn't have to, and they shouldn't be shaming people either direction. There's a lot of, in my opinion, a lot of power being pulled that should be turned back to the people, and the whole executive powers should be returned back to our legislators and allow both the Senate and the House and everybody to be having a say-so and getting full input from the private sector to have everybody's, if they want to have everybody's true concerns at heart. I'm a firm believer in the Constitution and all the amendments, including the second.
Hi, I'm Justin Icorn, your state senator, representing Itasca, Cass, and Beltrami counties. We've accomplished a lot over the last 4 years. Increasing funding for our local schools, keeping our health care costs down, and actually cutting taxes for families like yours and mine. But there's a lot more to do. So I'm running for another term in the Minnesota Senate. Every Sunday night during session, I say goodbye to my wife and kids and make the 3-hour trek to St. Paul to fight for our way of life, because day after day, it is under attack from Metro liberals. They want to defund the police. They want to put in place California emission standards that would force us out of our SUVs and our F-150s. They want to limit our right to own a firearm and protect our families. You can count on me to fight back against these extreme ideas. And I'll continue to get things done for northern Minnesota, like funding the new Veterans Home in Bemidji, a great accomplishment for our city. Making sure the Line 3 pipeline gets built to bring permanent union jobs to our area, and stopping a 20 cents per gallon gas tax increase. I'm Justin Icorn, and I want to keep serving as your state senator, and I need your vote on November 3rd. And you can count on me to keep fighting for our way of life.